Pastor John MacArthur's shocking COVID admission. Actually, it should say admissions because it's multiple things that he admitted to today, which are very, very shocking. My name's Tim Hurd, the BTWN guy. Today is August 29, 2021. I've got a longer version of this video available. I'll tell you where to find it at the end of this short YouTube clip. Can't show you exactly from John MacArthur's mouth what he said, but I can tell you about it here on YouTube. John MacArthur making shocking COVID admissions. Pastor John preached on Ephesians chapter 2 today, but before he did, he spent 10 minutes talking about multiple topics, including the government, the lawsuit between the state of California and LA County and Grace Community Church suing each other back and forth. And he also made a shocking admission about COVID-19. I was shocked, and others that I've talked about, totally surprised by this. Pastor John referenced, as he started his sermon, the introductory to his sermon, he referenced an article written at the LA Times and then shared everywhere. LA County could pay $400,000 settlement to church that fought COVID-19 mandates. This is all around the internet. I reported on it midweek on this YouTube channel. And basically what it says is the county's done. They want to settle. They know they would lose in court. John MacArthur's lawyers have done a wonderful job defending him and Grace Community Church. And but Pastor John said this is the one thing that he wanted to address here, this comment here. The church has seen multiple coronavirus outbreaks, including in one adult fellowship group that met in person. Pastor John's like, wait a minute. No, that's not true. There's no evidence at all that there has been a COVID outbreak at the church. And then the shocking part came. And then he said he didn't realize how serious COVID-19 was. He didn't realize how many people were getting sick from COVID-19 until he caught COVID-19. He and his wife, Pastor John says, contracted COVID-19 in December. If you've been watching this YouTube channel, you know that I reported in December that he was unable to preach due to illness, and I reported that it wasn't due to COVID-19. I have multiple sources that are very close to Pastor John, and if they knew that he had COVID then, they did not tell me the truth because they told me point blank, Pastor John is sick, unable to preach, but he doesn't have COVID-19. So this is somewhat shocking, but not necessarily if you're paying attention, because when Pastor John came back to the pulpit after missing 2 weeks, his speech and his breathing was different than it is normally. And it took him a couple weeks to quote unquote catch his breath in regards to doing a public presentation or sermon. You knew that he was speaking and breathing a little slightly labored. So that's shocking. That is really surprising. And then, not only that, he says that it went through the entire church through December and January, which is important. These dates are important because in September, Pastor John was going on Fox News and all kinds of places saying there's no COVID in our church. We're all healthy. We're meeting, and there's no problems at all. I don't even know of anybody who has COVID. And then he got COVID, and it went through the church. So after making these admissions, which don't get me wrong, I am not against Pastor John at all. I am 100% a fan of Pastor John. He can almost do no wrong. But after he made these admissions, then he went back to say again, the church has seen this comment here in these articles. There's absolutely no evidence showing that there was an outbreak. So whatever way that Pastor John, I know he's not lying. He could be misunderstanding, or we could be misunderstanding him, but his understanding of coronavirus outbreaks is different than him getting COVID and COVID going through his church in the months of December and January. Either way, Pastor John also points out that, you know what? We're really super blessed here. We're super blessed here. God has protected us through all this. And then he also stated that there's been a study. He talked about how wonderful the human body is. The human body is wonderful, how God has made us. He's made us to live our lives with each other, and he's made our bodies in such a way that they can get viruses, fight against viruses, and then we are actually able to fight viruses. And in the midst of all that, he shared this landmark mass study, and that it finds vaccinated people are 13 times more likely to catch COVID-19 than those who have recovered and have natural immunity. Pastor John's point is science even tells us that natural immunity is way better than being vaccinated. So there are some people who say the best way to fight a virus is just get it, and then you have natural immunity and it eventually goes away. So God made us wonderfully, and that was Pastor John's point in that regard, that in sharing that study from Israel. So I say a lot more on this, and I shared Pastor John's comments in another video, and I'll tell you where to find that before I get to the last thing that he talked about, because he talked about the government. And but where you can find my full synopsis on what Pastor John said, including his comments, the link to see that is in the description of this video. The link to see that. Now, those who are on Patreon, who help out on Patreon, they've already watched the video without ads and everything. And I would encourage everybody, if you appreciate what I'm doing here, consider supporting me, this ministry. On my website, click on Support Our Ministry, and then click on Patreon. And for just a donation of $1 a month, you can get all these videos ad-free, plus bonus content, behind-the-scenes content, and you get to see all the videos before they're posted on any platform. So please consider doing that. All right. Then Pastor John talked about the government for 4 minutes. He talked about Afghanistan. He talked about poor leadership, poor military decisions by, he didn't mention Joe Biden, but he's talking about Joe Biden and the administration. He said that he can't think of one competent person in the cabinet. And then he referenced a verse that talked about when God's judgment comes, in anger God gives nations rulers who are like children and women, I think that's what he said. Children, they gives them rulers who are women and children. And then he says, does that mean that they're actually children? Does that mean they're actually women? He said, no, not necessarily. But it does mean that they make decisions that are like a child would make, like a woman would make. And generally speaking, women, and as Pastor John said, are weak in their decision-making in some regards when they are leaders. So that is what Pastor John talked about this morning, and that's what I wanted to share with you here on YouTube. Can't share what I used to share here on YouTube because I've been cracked down on by some people, but check out the Builder Summit, that link right there. That's not a link. If you click on it, it doesn't go anywhere. It's a logo, Builder Summit. Go to buildersummit.org. If you're a man, let me tell you that I want to encourage you. Was my original goal with getting on here on YouTube was to encourage and strengthen other men like myself. And at the Builders Summit, we're together for 2 nights, 3 days. We have 6 meals, couple snacks. We have activities, and we have speakers. And the speakers that I bring in are speakers that have impacted my life, encouraged me greatly. I want them to come to this event so that they can also encourage you. And I want you there so that you can encourage me and encourage other men. We need to encourage and build one another up. So please consider, check out buildersummit.org. That whole summit, with the lodging and meals and conference and activities, just $130. Best price ever. And if you fly in, it's free. I'll pay your admission. I don't make any money on the event anyway, and if you fly in, I'll pay your admission. So check it out, buildersummit.org. Send me your feedback at btwnnews.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, listen, it's a shocking admission, but I got nothing bad to say against the guy. Love Pastor John, love his ministry, love Grace Community Church. Till next video, my prayer is that God would bless each and every one of you. Take care.